Okay, so I'm here with my lovely wife, Sarah, today.
Hi.
So it's going to be a little bit different this time.
Yeah.
So she's going to be the co-host today.
Go Sarah. Okay. So first up, I'm going to read the email for this one. And it says, "Hi, love your action videos. I'm a tattoo artist from Brighton, England. I designed this and my ex-friend did it for me. Here is fresh and healed. I know you're not a fan of mandalas, but this is a little more on the geometric side. Ooh, Freudian slip. Anyways, hope you and the shop crew are having a sick day."
We're having some kind of day. So this is a bit different for sure, but I still don't love it. Like I don't know, too gray washy for me.
Yeah, it doesn't register as what it was to
No,
me.
I don't really see geometric either, or mandala for that matter. It's really neither.
Yeah, I mean, like, composition looks nice. Like, I like the idea of having like the shell be the mandala makes sense, but you got no blacks.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it's going to be really, really gray when this heals out. I did not include the healed photo, but I already know what it's going to look like when it's healed. I know what these washes turn into. It looks better healed, but it's still going to be pretty weak.
Yeah.
I think, anyway. I also don't really know what it is. Like, it's hard to tell what this thing is.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? It's like super
just
hard
stuff.
And like to me, the bottom that's supposed to be a mandala reads more like a nautical star or like one of those things on a map than it does mandala.
Yeah, it's not particularly doing much for me. I don't know. I don't know what you do after this either.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know what you do to add to this, but I would want to add to this. So
right, yeah, you'd want to have more on the leg, and this is just kind of floating there.
It's a bit of a bummer for me. No pun intended.
Right, and I don't know who wants a beetle on their bum.
I mean, beetle can be fun, but this one doesn't really read as a beetle.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Shall we move on?
Yep.
Next one. Oh, okay.
So Quagmire. This is way more readable.
Yes.
Yeah, but way too small.
Interesting placement too.
Yeah,
right?
well, obviously, yeah. It's yeah, it's fun, but yeah, I don't know. I just it's so isolated on its own here.
Oh, wow, that's just a joke tattoo. The only problem is it makes it hard for him to get other stuff, right?
Well, it's on the right place. Like this is definitely a guy. I can't imagine a girl ever getting this tattoo. Like, it's pretty masculine in its way. But, yeah, it's just too small for me, but it is in the right spot for sure.
And the lines are clean, right?
Can you imagine if this was ever on someone's face or something?
Oh,
It
man.
just changes the context completely.
I don't think anybody would ever get it on their face.
A tattoo like this can only be done on someone's legs for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah. The line work is nice. It's nice color shading on the face and the hands or the arm and stuff just to make it look just a little different from the skin tone. But that's tricky to do in these little cartoon tattoos.
Right? I think it's a really smooth tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's harder to do this stuff than it looks. So nice use of white too.
Right? Yes, for sure. And use of the skin tone.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it does look like white for sure, but just a little tiny bit. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I give this one a pass for sure.
Yay! 10 out of 10. Okay, next one?
Yep.
Glorious. All right. Let's see. Jake says, "Here's my shins. I liked the bull line work minus any shading. Feel free to critique. Any recommendations on what to do around them? Keep up the good work, Mr. Muscle."
I mean, you could do like a night sky kind of shading around this with like a moon or something, some stars. That would be kind of my suggestion, but I don't think you should do any more just line work. I think it should be like pretty well shaded at this point. There's a lot of weight in the line work here. Like, it's done the job of doing the tattoo for the most part, but I don't know. I think in places it could use a little shading to make it bolder and to kind of pull things apart because it all gets a little bit lost. It's particularly in the foundation of the building. It's just not really standing out very well. It's just too busy with just the exact same kind of line weights and all the same tone of black. So,
well, like this was like quite the trend for a little bit on the internet. I was seeing there's like one particular tattoo artist that I was seeing doing these predominantly on feet and hands, and I can't think of who the artist is right now because I'm not super good at remembering
this is
names.
way
but
better placement than feet and hands for this.
I just think like when it's placed on the feet and hands, it makes a little bit more sense because you know where to go from there, right? This forces you to create a background, and then all of a sudden it's a landscape. Where when they were putting it on the feet of hands, it was sort of tearing down that construct of landscape, and it was like a weird floating building on their hand, right? And it was kind of an interesting idea where I don't love this concept as much.
Yeah, the only problem with that is the delicate line work and all the little dainty details are going to blow out and mush together, and they're going to be really hard to keep. Generally speaking, you don't want anything too crazy detailed on your hands and feet.
Right.
It can work, but it's not going to work for everyone. So having this here is a little easier to manage than it would be to have on your fingers and toes.
Oh, yeah.
But I understand that was a trendy image and probably a lot of people got it, but I'd like to see what a lot of those look like today.
Yeah.
They're still holding up well.
If this was my tattoo and I was like trying to add background to it, I would probably like play off the idea of a church and do stained glass window, like stained glass background. Because you can do any imagery you want through stained glass. It just has a certain aesthetic to it, right?
The problem, though, is everything here is like one size and perspective. So if you do that, then it makes the whole thing look very small, right? It's going to make the towers look small if you do like big stained glass around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like they're going to look like almost like Little Mario or something, you know?
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying stylistically, it works.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the placement is a little bit... It's just not broad enough. It's too thin. If they had made this the whole front of the legs with a little bit of wrap to the back, it would have been easier to fill in behind it. But there's just too much surface space left for this to be the main thing. It does look cool on its own, but if you're planning on doing more, I think it's going to be a bit tricky to do it in a way that completes a sleeve look. But yeah, not bad overall though. So I'd like to see how those knees hold up over time. Those are going to be tricky to keep the dainty line work on.
I do like the knee crosses. It's a great place to have your crosses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, next one.
Something to love. You have one of these.
It reminds me of Frank.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a bad skull tattoo.
An unfinished skull tattoo floating somewhere on the leg.
Yeah.
With more personality than it has brains. Right? This thing is just begging for someone to love it.
This is, I got a tattoo machine.
Yeah.
And I decided to try and tattoo myself for funsies.
Yeah, you see the uneven lines.
Yeah.
They're thicker and darker in some places than others.
Some blowouts here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what this guy's name is. What would you call this skull?
This skull. I call all the skulls Frank.
Yeah, there's got to be more names than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll call him George.
I was thinking Eddie.
Eddie.
Yeah.
Like the
I don't know
Iron
that
Maiden?
I don't know that he needs a nose. And why does he only have 3 teeth? Is he like a caveman? Caveman skull? What is going on here?
Yeah, that's true. And then like also, I mean, why would you be like the nose isn't connected? We haven't filled in the eyes. Like it's just
wow.
a little
I don't
weird.
think that's ever going to happen. I think this has been abandoned. I don't think they're going to finish this, and I don't think they're worried too much about background either.
Fun little line doodle.
Yeah.
We all have one.
Yeah, we've all got something like this.
Except for Remy, he covered it over.
Yeah, I
ago.
covered all of my line doodles.
All right, next one.
So this is better, but too small. Like, why is the Jesus smaller than the rose? I don't understand that, the composition of that. He's just so tiny in the mix.
Yeah, and that like crucifix looks like out of proportion to me. Like
Yeah.
like the bottom part of the crucifix should be longer, or it's like they tried to do like a perspective where you're looking kind of down at it and it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, well, he would have been, like, his body would have been bigger as it's coming closer.
Yeah.
He's just so tiny, though.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
The rose is cool, but I just want to black over the Jesus because he's not adding anything.
I like all of the background better than I like the Jesus. The Jesus is so wonky to me.
Well, he just doesn't need to be there. He's too small. They did him as almost looks like an afterthought. I like the idea of the black dripping onto the toes, but they should have kept the black like darker because it was gonna fade to that washy black anyway on the toe.
Right. And
Like-
and the other thing that's not reading that I'm seeing now in this is it's rosary. It's a rosary. There's rosary beads
Yep.
over by the pinky toe there, like above. Those are totally getting lost.
Totally getting lost.
Well, they're like,
Is that a pun?
well, you can't see them.
But it's on a toe. I mean.
I made a dad joke.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why they went dark shading on the two toes, like the pinky toe and the closest toe to it, and then light shading. Like, I get they're supposed to be candles, but you should have just drove home the black and the shading on the toes because that area needs the hardest black you've got. It's going to fade to a washy black anyway, so don't dare use anything but the darkest you've got because you need to put weight there. Mm-hmm. It's not going to hold up as well as the top of the foot. Top of the foot can hold up pretty well, but as you get towards the sides and the toes, you start losing the shading quite a bit. So you can get it, but like if you were just going to do this like 1-2 times, I would have gone dark.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to be putting your details exactly where they have some of the details. They
Yeah.
probably fall out. I don't have my feet tattooed, but I can imagine.
It's a little bit nonsensical in terms of the technical side. Like the artistic side is one thing. Like I like some of it and dislike other parts. But technically speaking, this was sort of obnoxious tattooing or not really paying attention to how things would heal or age. And they've got a lot more detail in those candles than they probably should have.